Okay. We are in Maimer Vav. I want to go through it again with a little bit more understanding. Faromer b'Shabbos. The Gemara says in Shabbos. This Gemara is in Shabbos Kuf Mem Vav Amud Aleph. And there's a machlokas, fascinating machlokas, what do you think about it, as to whether the Zuama nachash was nifsak at the time of Yaakov Avinu, or was the Zuamas nachash nifsak at the time of Matan Torah. So this Gemara is fascinating for a number of reasons. First of all, it doesn't sound like a Gemara. When was the Zuamas nachash nifsak? But what the part that's fascinating to me about it is that L'Kula Alma, there was nifsak Zuamas nachash. So here we are, still not in Geula and still doing Averos, and certainly all of Klal Yisrael outside of this room is not in the great shape. So what's pshat nifsak loizeh v'loizeh? So the answer is, must be, just to give my advanced interpretation, that it's a matter of degree. So where the nachash injected his poison, if you will, which is sort of a spiritual thing, so it's a mashal, into Adam and Chava, whether it was Badas or whether it was actually the nachash actually raped Chava, as Chazal tell us, but the Zumas HaNachash wasn't Lemechsa, L'Shlisha, L'Ravia. It was there, that was it. So all of a sudden, the Tov V'Ra, which was out there was a nachash, became part and parcel to Adam and Chava. That's the Zuama that we're talking about. That changed everything. It was a deal changer. It changed everything. Klal Yisrael wasn't invented, so the world went into Plan B. Plan A, Hashem created paradise. Gan Eden. What's paradise if not Gan Eden? Plan B is you're being thrown out of Gan Eden, and now you've got to work to get back in. She's selfish and haviyah. The getting back in, either that is getting back in or the first stage of getting back in is Paska Zuamas HaNachash, which would seem that which we injected, that which we ingested into ourselves is now Paska. Finished, worn out, went through the body, out. It's in the Hudson.
Did one or another affect on Bechira?
Of course. Bechira changed. So Bechira changed with the Zuamas HaNachash.
Yeah.
So Al Karchach, when it's Nifsak Zuamas HaNachash, Bechira has to change again. So everybody keeps asking the question, and which reason why everyone keeps asking is because I don't know the answer. So if we can go from a Plan A to a Plan B in Gan Eden, meaning we can mess that up. If we go from a Plan A to a Plan B at Har Sinai, so who's to say that when it comes to Asid Lavo, when Mashiach comes, when there's really a Geula, can we mess that up too? And that question keeps coming up in our minds, right? So we mess it up again, get again thrown out of Gan Eden.
That question is the answer, though. The implication is that by the Gemara suggesting those two possibilities of time, I mean, it implies that it's not a complete Geula. What we're talking about when Mashiach comes is a complete Geula. So it'll be a different.
So why? So what I had said was the reason why is because since it's Luchai Shniyoistik, since it's Psolacha Shnei Luchai Savanam Girishayim, since it has our participation and our work in the Nifsak Hazuama, so that nobody can take away from us.
Did
so why now?
No. In other words, Adam Arisha, nobody took that away from. He didn't get it by himself. It was just given to him. Kedusha was given to him. He didn't work for that Kedusha. Klal Yisrael by Har Sinai also didn't work for that Kedusha. But by the Luchas Shniyos already, we're talking about Torah Shebaal Peh, we're talking about a lot of human participation in this, so, which is the plan B, and keeps you, like, logically speaking, when you work for something yourself, it's yours. It's, you know, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm just saying as a muscle, like if somebody would give me $1 billion, probably easy to lose the $1 billion. If I actually work and make and by chachma and I toil for the $1 billion, probably it'll last longer. A lot of dafka I've seen otherwise too, but it's there's an easy come, easy go aspect to this. So I just, so that's okay. I don't want to, I just, what is clear here is the Gemara says Avodah Zarah. Let's understand now the mashal maturely. The Gemara says that Asid Lavai, Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to take all the tzaddikim and he's going to put them in a circle, b'machal, and he's going to stand in the middle, and he's going to shech the Yetzer Hara. Okay, cool. What does that mean? It's a Gemara. It's an agadata, you know. And shech the Yetzer Hara, Asid Lavai. So the simple pshat of what it means, the chayr, is that that's going to be the Pascha Zohavasa Shel Nachash. The Yetzer Hara, which we ingested, is now going to be shechted. I'm sure there's a lot of omek to that Gemara that we're not understanding at this moment, but at least we've got a little more omek than some kind of a visual of a bunch of tzaddikim dancing around in a circle and a Kodesh Baruch Hu doing a Shlit'a in the middle. But the shechting, in other words, it's all over. This game is over. This battle with the Ra. So you know, some people say, well, then what? You know, so what happens then? So there's no Yetzer Hara. So what's the game? What's the geshmak in life? Like, what do we? So and I mean, they say b'shem the Chavetz Chaim that he was very concerned about the Geula and Mashiach. I mean, he was concerned because he really believed it. He was very concerned about it because now what? Like, what are we supposed to do? So why was he so mishtoikek for the Geula? Because it's Kvod Hashem. First of all. Second of all, like, you know, there's two kinds of geshmak. I can tell you that there's the geshmak of having to work hard and get something into satisfaction. There's the geshmak of everything just being good. It's also something, you know, it's also something like it's a retirement. What?
Not so bad.
It's such a bad thing, you know. There's the Florida thing, you know. It's just like I got my check and I got my, you know, load around. But it's not but the point the Chavetz Chaim was making is, yes, it's lo l'ra, it can be very geshmak and you can get used to it very quickly, but you're not growing in it. You're not steiging. You're not steiging in it. So the idea of this Yetzer Hara, plan B, is to continue to steig. So what is the Pascha Zuam Masam? Which is according to understanding this, it seems to be a matter of degree. That something, the Gemara says, well, did that happen by Yaakov Avinu, or did it happen at Har Sinai? L'kula alma, l'chayra, it didn't happen at all. I mean, it will happen. Pascha Zumasan l'asa lava, Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to shech the Yetzer Hara. But something happened by Yaakov Avinu. So we can understand it, because if we're looking for this tikkun, which is all of history, looking for this tikkun, of how to get back in Gan Eden. And finally, we tried. The world tried with Noach, and the world tried with so many different things until it came to Avram Avinu. Oh, but Avram Avinu wasn't finished with the Birur yet. There still had to be a Yitzchak. There was still a Zuam of Haraya. Avram Avinu had a Yishma, so it had to be a Yitzchak. There was still a Zuam because Yitzchak had an Esav. So Yaakov Avinu said, We're getting there, but we're not there yet until Yaakov Avinu b'soif Yamav Mamish, after the whole Maisa of the Mechiras Yosef, and after l'chayr everybody did tshuva and Yosef was mochel them, etc. So he looked around and he said, "Okay, mitasi shleim. Mitasi shleim. All's well that ends well. If all's well that ends well, so he said, Pascha Zuam. Maybe now Pascha Zuam in the lashon of Chazal, bikesh Yaakov l'galus esakes." This is a good time now for Mashiach to come. Nobody wants to hear these. I'm getting anxious.
If there's possible different levels of Pascha Zuma, what about in Gan Eden, where you have first of all the nachash Baal Chava, and then you have Chava eating Eitzadas and Adam eating Eitzadas.
All kinds of levels there, right?
You had different levels there as well.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, is it the Etyoy Shel Nachash? Is it the ingesting of the Eitz Hadas? Is it the not running for the Eitz HaChaim? There was a lot of different
combination.
Why a combination? A lot of different stages, to be precise. There's a lot of different stages of Zuma.
We're missing in all this the role that women play, really. Because if you think about it, Hashem gave us Chava, Ezer Kenegdo. Then Chava's the one who enticed Adam.
Kenegdo.
Right, right. But then Abraham had Sarah, who said, get rid of Ishmael. And, Yaakov had Rivka. Then at Har Sinai, we had the women who were not doing what they were not supposed to do.
Very well observed. So it seems to be there's a male energy and a female energy in this Pascha Zoma. Okay, so here the Gemara says in Shabbos like this. Let's just look over. Innerveinik. Kfar Amru b'Shabbos. Chazal said in Shabbos to be Yaakov Pascha Zoma. Yaakov Avinu, as we just described, because Yaakov Legalis Esaketz, Rosh Mitasei Shlema. We went through the Birur Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Shvatim, Geduk, Mashiach. Finished. Vagam Desham Amru, there in the Gemara it says, the Pligi Amand Amr, the Matan Torah Pasak, that it's arguing, that Shita is arguing on the Matan Amr, which says the Matan Torah Pasak, so Muslim didn't happen by Yaakov Avinu. It says, Reb Tzaddik, Elu ve'elu divilikim chayim. This is not Shver, there's two Matan Amrim, which Elu ve'elu means that it depends how you look at it, meaning there was a Pascha Zumasa by Yaakov, there's a Pascha Zumasa by Matan Torah, and they're only arguing which is the Pascha Zumasa, which went down in history as Pascha Zumasa, if it's Yaakov or Matan Torah, but they're both were a Pascha Zumasa, and there will still be another Pascha Zumasa, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu's asid love by shechting the Yitzhar. That's Mabash a Pascha Zumasa. Ubishvatim atzma, so the pshat is, Divrei Elu Velu Divrei Kim Chayim, Ubishvatim atzma Pasak. So, by Ruvain, Levi, Shimon, Yehuda, God, there was a Pasak. By they themselves, they reached a Madrega of Libi Cholol Bekirbi. They reached a Madrega of, because they became, by the end of their lives, they also had their tribulations, but by the end of their lives, they could say on themselves, Pascha Zumasi, I don't have any Ra in me anymore. Just like David HaMelech said. You could come to, David HaMelech also had his trials, but by the end of his life, David HaMelech was able to say, okay, Libi Cholol B'Kirbi, I'm in total control, or Pascha Zumasi. The nachash is no longer affecting me personally. But B'chein B'Zaram, this something happened by Yaakov Avinu and the Shvatim, because now their children are different than the children of anybody before them, including Abraham and Yitzchak. A whole different madrega, because they were born to Pascha Zuamasam. V'chein b'zarim hashalshelas hanimshach l'dar hamidbar. This went all the way, chain, generation after generation, until you went through the whole Mitzrayim, until you went into the Midbar. Dar hamidbar. Avaloi nifsak adayin legamri, but clearly by Yaakov Avinu Ubanav, there wasn't a complete nifsak of Zuamas HaNachash. Lios kol zaram kain legamri, sharei hayirishayim shemesa b'mei afela. There were some that opted out, and therefore died b'mei afela. Now, Zov, the question is, did they opt out and therefore died, or did they die and therefore they opted out? Like, it's not important right now. The point is that it wasn't Amech Kulam Tzaddikim.
Well, it seems like outside influence can still affect the tzaddikim.
At that point.
Yeah, I mean, in Gan Eden also.
But loss of love. Loss of love is a question. But obviously, that's the exact point. The exact point is that you see that in Mitzrayim Gufa, some people were influenced by the Mitzrayim. There was assimilation. Look, what do you need more than the whole Klal Yisrael was Yar Lamem Tasharitum? There's no Etir Shal Nachash, Pascha Zumasam by Yaakov Avinu, so Pascha Loi Pascha, not so clear. It's going to explain.
Ishmael also was influenced by the Mitzri, his mother.
Haber. So it means, let me put it in my words, when Avram Avinu was born, a birur began, a process of getting rid of the Zuamas HaNachash. Started off with him breaking idols and becoming iconoclastic in the literal sense. Went on to the Kivshon Ha'esh. It went on to the Asar Nisyonos of Avraham Avinu. It went on to Yitzchak. There was a birur which was coming closer to the Nifsak Hazuama. The birur did not end with Yaakov Avinu and with his sons, kept on going. But on a more darkistic, something happened by Yaakov Avinu. Something happened, but it didn't happen legamri. Mashain came after Matan Torah. There was even a stronger Nifsaka Hazumas HaNachash that we came up with a new idea, in the words of the Gemara, Afal Pi Shechata Yisrael, which didn't exist before. Afal Pi Shechata Yisrael. Shekvar Bachron Hashem Yisbarach La'amai. There, something new. Matan Torah. Hashem chose us. Shebachar banu mikol ha'amim v'nosam lanu es teirasa. He was still going around to the nations of the world, asking. So we had something, but we didn't have it. And Matan Torah, something happens that he was boicher us. And once he's boicher us, so then we say Afal Pi Shechata Yisrael. You know, I don't want to do this. I want to opt out. Sorry, you were chosen already. Once you're chosen, you're cooked. Right? We're chosen. It means there's an actual shinoi in our neshamas when HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us. The efsher loy liparei klal. There's no more getting out of this. Afilu al yidei hagdolos havanis. No matter how many aveiros we're going to do, we did the egel. Vayinatek shem Yisro mimenu. Vos meitos hainu. Al yidei shirish mamake halev hadavuk b'Hashem Yisparach. So, what happened here was that there was a permanent effect of the neshama where it was cleansed of the Zuamas HaNachash, the very experience of Har Sinai. Cleansed us of the Zuamas HaNachash. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is boicher us, and that remains. So if you have this big neshama, it could be Hagdolas Avonos Mikol Tzdadim, but in the shirish of it, you know the shirish HaNeshama means that which is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it explains the Nefesh HaChaim. The way the neshama works is you have the outside, inner layer, the shirish HaNeshama, the root. Where's it getting Yedika from? Shirish means where's it getting its sustenance from? So that's hooked up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's the neshama which has us plugged into to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Interleader.
Okay. So that Pintaliyid, as you call it, was created at Har Sinai. This is meaning something happened since that previous was changed over. Now there's no going back. We say Afal Pi Shechata Yisrael.
Like Geras.
I don't know. Maybe it's not like Gerus. In other words, by Gerus, do we say that the same thing happens? I don't know. It's not right. By Gerus, there is we do say, I think, halachically, we say Afal Pi Shechata Yisrael. Assuming the Gerus is a real Gerus, we say Afal Pi Shechata.
We say it was a lost neshama and it was brought back.
Okay. But there's also this concept of Chazar l'Surai. So I'm not sure, like in Sarahiyun, what the Ta'alich. It's bad. It's Surai. So whether at the moment of Gerus the Ger receives a Pintaliyid, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying I don't. Does anybody know? Who knows? It's a riot that happens. Huh?
There's a minor from the Lubavitch Rebbe. He says he asked why it says Gershon is Gaia by the double lush.
Okay.
So he says basically that he has a nefesh yechida.
So that's his Torah. That there's a lot of things said like that, but I'm not saying these. V'chein amru shvatim al atzmam. So now we can understand it. So the shvatim said al atzmam, Degam b'libeinu, av shein anu nekiyim miyetzara legamri kamoischa, ma'amake libeinu davik b'Hashem echad. Okay, so what was the story? The story was, let's go over the story again. The story in Psachim, that the Gemara tells us in Psachim is, Amar of Shimon ben Lakish, Bracious Mem Tes, this is sort of the end of Bracious. End of Bracious. Significant. Ad to Shabbos. The end of Bracious, the end of the whole. Bracious means the tahalich of Yitziras Ha'olam, Yitziras Ha'adam, the Bracious, the first 2,000 years. Bracious. Vayikar Yaakov el Banav, Bikesh Yaakov legalos Kates Hayamin Levanav. Kates Hayamin. Anybody know what that means? And you're thinking about it on Hanukkah?
And the days.
Yamin.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Right. Kates Hayamin. Gotcha? Bikesh Yaakov legalos Kates Hayamin Levanav. V'nistalka mimenu shchina. Omar, so Yaakov Avinu was about, he was on a very big prophetic high. He was going to be Megala ad kedei kach, he was going to be Megala the Kates Hayamin. And the Zohar tells the story means he was going to announce Mashiach at that moment. Yaakov Avinu lo meis. But Nistalka mimenu shchina didn't work out. Omar, he said, Shema chas v'shalom yesh psul b'mitasi. He was confused about this, that Avraham knew that he wasn't Mashiach because he had an Esau. Yitzchak knew he wasn't Mashiach because he had an Esau. So Yaakov Avinu thought, we're all set. But Nistalka mimenu shchina, so since it's Nistalka mimenu shchina, he said, whoa, Chas v'sholom. Interesting. Chas v'sholom. Yesh psul b'mitasi. Ke'avraham avi abba. Sheyatzav v'meni Yishmael. It's not my pshat the verse. Maybe I'm just like Avraham, my grandfather. Sheyatzav v'meni Yishmael. Oh, ki Yitzchak avi. Sheyatzav v'meni Esav. So Rashi doesn't bring this part.
This took place in Mitzrayim, though. That was different.
Yes.
There's a big difference there, too. The other two took place in Eretz Yisrael.
Okay.
So maybe that was part of why he couldn't get the Nevuah then. That's where it
That's not what
was.
the Gemara is saying.
I know.
Good writing. Medrash.
Right.
Amr Leibanav, so the sons responded to his, I mean, it must have been a terrible moment. So the sons responded, just envision this, put this picture in your mind of the sons standing around the Mita of Yaakov Avinu and the Simcha of Yaakov Avinu. Bikesh legalos is a case. So the disappointment of Nistalka, not just that he didn't have the words, Nistalka mimenu shchina, I mean, a man like that, Nistalka mimenu shchina.
What's the lashon bikesh legalos?
Wanted to tell them.
Not do it.
He had the shchina, I don't know, how do you know? Legalos in 1,000 years, legalos now. Legalos is Kates Hayomin. Amr Leibanav, don't forget that, we have a Mashiach ben Yosef, we have a Mashiach ben David, Yosef just was, Yosef Hayab ben Mitzrayim. The world was ready. Yosef Hayab ben Mitzrayim. Klal Yisrael was prestigious in Mitzrayim. It was a setup. And Yaakov Avinu doesn't necessarily need to die right now. It was only after this when he realized this Talmud and Shechina, I'm going to die. And even then, Chazal say Yaakov Avinu lo beis. So these are Altik Pereni b'Mitzrayim. Anyways, the sons saw the Shechina leave their father. Amru like Banov, so the sons told him, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. They all screamed out the Shema. Standing on his bed, they all screamed, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Amru, and they said, Kishem she'ein belibcha ela echad, kach ein belibenu ela echad. You're echad, we're echad. So, very important. It means like who was questioning the echad? He's saying that there's no, he was choshesh, that maybe there's a Yishmael here, maybe there's an Esav here. Think about it. What's the nekuda of a Yishmael or an Esav? Ein mitasei shleimus. Think about it for a moment. What does it mean? It means to me, it means that, meaning there's still an operating ra here. There's still a kilu a shtei reshuyos. There's tov, there's ra, like the Esav, like Adam Arisha. Esav, there's tov, there's ra. Yitzchak saw tov. Rivka saw ra. There's Tovara operating here. So their answer to it was, Ein B'libeinu Ela Echad. That there's only one force, where there's Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We're with you on this, that Hashem Echad, since you're Tzaddik. Miyad Pasach Yaakov Avinu v'Amar, so Yaakov Avinu now has responded to this again, Nistalkev men Shechina, and he's dying, and Nistalkev men Shechina, and all the sons are saying Shema out loud, screaming, Ein B'libeinu Elachad, Ein B'libeinu Elachad. And Yaakov Avinu speaks, and he says, Baruch Shem Kvei Malchusai Yelad Vayim. Amar Rabbanon, I pointed out last time, Baruch Shem Kvei Malchusai Yelad Vayim, it's also a pasuk, just I didn't get into the Torah. Amar Rabbanon Heichen Nevid. So now the Rabbanon, generations later, are trying to work out, so what do we do when we say Kriya Shema? Neimra, should we say Baruch Shem Kvei Malchusai? Loi Amare Moshe Rabbeinu. It's not really a pasuk because, what was their suffix? How can we say this? We can only say a pasuk. What are we going to say? Some of our own. In other words, like what should we be saying? It's not really a pasuk. How do we know it's not really a pasuk? Baruch Shem Kvei Malchusai. We don't even know what it means, by the way. I mean, I don't know. I know we say it every day, but I'm just wondering if it's Baruch Shem Kvei Malchusai. But whatever it is, it's not a pasuk in the traditional sense of the word that Rabbanan said, because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't say it. Loy Neimra, so let's leave it out. So the Gemara says, Amar Yaakov, it is a pasuk. Yaakov Avinu said it in Midrash. Moshe Rabbeinu never uttered these words. Halei Davaru. He never said these words in the Torah. It's a Torah Shabbat Peh that there's such a pasuk. So can we say a Torah Shabbat Peh pasuk in the middle of Kriya Shema? Iskinu, so they said a takana is chachamim shu oimrim b'chashoy. Say it quietly. The compromise. Omar Rabbi Yitzchak said Rabbi Yitzchak Amar Dvei Rabbi Ami Mashal Labas Melech Shehericha Tzike Kedera, says the Gemara. Explain this, that let's say you have a Bas Melech, a princess, high class. Shehericha Tzike Kedera. What's Tzike Kedera? She got a cheshik for like the burnt part of the cholent. The part that you got to scrape off the walls. Very geschmack. That's the best part, but it's low class. Princesses don't scrape the cholent part. That's for the servants of the kitchen. But it's so geschmack, because everything is crystallized. So she got a cheshik. So she says, bring me the tzike kedera. Taimar yesh lakanai. Loi taimar yesh latsar. So taimar, what does taimar mean? If we tell her, let's say in this case, it means if we give it to her, right? Okay, get her the tzike kedera. So she's doing something which Bas Melech doesn't do.
Not becoming.
Right.
Unbecoming.
Not becoming. You're giving her the grits. White Tamar, don't give it to her, Yesh Latzar. How you let her be Mitzayir? The Bas Melech. She has a taiva for it. So what do? We say it quietly. So what they did is, they got the Avodim to bring her the Tzikei Kedera, but Chashai quietly, like they were covered with, privately. Amar Rabbi Avo, Iskinu Shoimer Moshe B'Kol Ram. Okay, different shot. Different shot. So according to this shot, the Baruch Shem Kavoid Malchusai is a funny Gemara. Let me ask the Gemara. Ask how the Gemara. The Gemara says the suffix of the Gemara is, should we say Baruch Shem Kavoid Malchusai Le'Ovad? It's not really a pasuk. That's the suffix of the Gemara. So the Gemara says, I'll say it quietly. It's not really a pasuk. Say it quietly. And then the Gemara gives a bashal, which seems to have nothing to do with it, because the bashal is the issue is not whether it's a galai or whether it's a shvach to say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusai. The issue is not is this bird shalit or good shal. The issue is it really a pasuk? So that's the issue. So the Gemara says bashal about over doibe to a princess that wants to eat bird shalit. How do you? What's the flow here of the Gemara? It should have been a mashal to something which is a pasuk, not a pasuk. I don't know, like whatever the mashal is, but this is not a mashal which is explaining anything. So comes Reb Tzadok and he says as follows: analyzes this Gemara. Look at the Marfarshim. Nobody.
And everybody in the Gemara agrees that it is actually a pasuk. Nobody's saying it's not.
Right, nobody's saying it's not a pasuk.
So everybody's agreeing. There's no mashal.
It's a Torah Shabbat Peh pasuk. So says Reb Tzadok as follows. Here's what happened. Here's the inside story. That the son said, they said, Gam B'libeinu, they said, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Now what? Gam B'libeinu listens to the words, deep in our hearts, said Reuven, Shimon, Yisachar, Gad, Yehuda. They said to Yaakov Avinu on his deathbed, that deep in our hearts, Nikiyim Anu Mi'etz Hara L'Gamri. We do. What do they say? Like we're Yiddish mentioned. Like deep in our hearts we have good.
It says Nikim. It says Av She'ein Anu Nikim.
Av She'ein Anu Nikim. I'm sorry. Thank you. She'ein Anu Shvatam Asun Gam B'Libeinu Av She'ein Anu Nikim Yitzar L'Gamri K'Moischa Ma'Makei Libeinu Davuk B'Shem Echad. Deep in our hearts we are with the program. So what are they saying? The Shvatim are making a distinction here between
what they're doing and what they feel.
What we're doing and what we are. We're really with you. We're not like you, like Yaakov Avinu. We're not like you, Tata. You're completely shalom, b'chutzonius, b'pnimius. But inside we're good. Our pnimius is good. Big yisod.
We mean well.
Al-Zeh Omar, at this moment, Yaakov Avinu said, "Oh, you mean well? You're talking about the pnimius of your neshama, which is what he's calling the paska zumasam, of the pnimius of your neshama." Al-Zeh Omar, this I'll tell you then. I'll tell you a different paska. You're telling me Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Baruch Shem Kavoin Malchus Eliyalam Vayah. Shizehu Yechuda Tatay. You know what it means? It's like you take the thing on the guitar and zoom, it's down here now. You just lowered, you just changed everything. Meaning, the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Lavod that Yaakov Avinu said is that, okay, I thought you were on this madrega. We could have Mashiach, Kamash Milan. You're on this madrega. The comfort that they gave him was Ein Anu Nikiyim, like you're saying, Mi'etza Hara Lagamri Kamoischa. We're not Lagamri, like, so what does it mean? There's still Ra within us. That Eitz Hadas is still being Pawel. But nevertheless, one thing did happen here, already in the time of Yaakov, is that deep inside we're okay.
Israel.
Which you can't say by Esav, or you can't say by Yishmael, that deep inside that we're okay. Lavdafka. But by us, deep inside we're okay. So episode, so Yaakov Avinu said, okay, we're talking about a different thing now. We started off because Yaakov Lagala says, okay, I thought we're talking about Mashiach. Now I say we're not talking about Mashiach, we're talking about Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusai L'Olam Vayed. We're talking about not, let me say it, we're not talking about Malchusai, we're talking about Kavod Malchusai. We're not talking about Hashem, we're talking about, we're talking about the Shem, which is more external. He lowered the bar. So therefore, he said, I thought you were on this madrega and that madrega. It was up to Gemara, Mashal Abbas Melech. This is the Mashal Abbas Melech. This is where the princess comes in. You know, can I get some of that, can I get some of that burnt? Could you imagine, like going into like a really classy restaurant, 500 shekel a plate, and you call the waiter on the side and you say, listen, go into the kitchen, scrape the pot. That's what I want to eat.
Bring me a beer.
Right. Bring me a beer. Right. Shut a seat. What up? This is for we give this to the dog. What's the That's what I have a Gishmak. So, okay, I could bring it to you, but I could only bring it to you very, very quietly in a disguise. It's going to look like something I'm going to put a whole bunch of junk on top of it to make it look classy. So it's a pasnisht for the Bas Melech to want the Tzikei Kedera. So what now we understand that when Yaakov Avinu said Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus L'Olam, okay, you're saying that you're not nucky from the Yetzer Hara, but you are good inside. That's something. We're not talking Gula anymore, and it's a Genai Hu Yisrael. The Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus L'Olam is a Genai Hu Yisrael, and therefore we say it quietly. So what's the Hepshach of the Gemara? The Pshat Gufa is that why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu put it into the Torah? Because it's a Genai Hu Yisrael. The Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus L'Olam, the Torah is eternal. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus is not eternal in that sense. It's not a pasuk, which is eternal. On Yom Kippur, even where we don't have this, since we say, what's a pshat? We have a Yetzer Hara on Yom Kippur. I do. What's this Yom Kippur thing? I think about things I don't think about all year on Yom Kippur. Eating. What's the? But the pshat is that he didn't matirnas hatzmenu lispal mavrayon. Some Yom Kippur, so we sit with everybody. Yom Kippur, there's a sort of a recognition that we can say out loud that look, we do Averos. That's what Yom Kippur is, right? We say Lucha Shniyos Yom Kippur. Salachti Kidvarecha.
What do we say Bechad?
Because Yom Kippur, there's a recognition that what we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is we're not going to daven with him. I'm all good. Am I perfect? So the teretz is that what we're activating on Yom Kippur. Listen, what we're activating on Yom Kippur is the libeinu, ein b'libeinu ela echad. We're activating the very, very deep omek halev, which has the achdus Hashem in it. Even though what we're doing tshuva on all of the chitzonius shabbat.
My question is on the Baruch. Was it a command that he's commanding his children?
We need to analyze the pasuk. I agree.
Okay. I was asking you the year. Why are we saying Bechad in the year?
Why don't we?
Why are we saying Bechad in the year?
We say quietly.
Why are we saying Bechad?
Because that's our madrega, personal.
It's a Shema. This is where the Echad we want to bring out as Echad.
Because we're not
negative.
there. Because we're not there.
So you'll keep talking here.
No, it's very simple. We're saying HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's very simple. We're saying HaKadosh Baruch Hu quietly. I know I do Averos. I know I'm not perfect. On Yom Kippur we say that out loud. But it's not, I'm saying Yom Kippur, it's not that it's not a Genai. Understand my part. It's not that it's not a Genai. It's that we're maskim, we're all big Genai. We're all big Genai. We're all wearing sneakers today. There's no high class, low class anymore on Yom Kippur. So Yom Kippur becomes, from a Ruchnius point of view, the great equalizer.
Being real.
Everything's real. Everything's real, and Mamela, I find it very helpful, by the way. I have to say this often, Matir and the Satzminu, Ispali Mavrayon. Not that I'm talking about myself too, but what I mean to say is like you used to think more of, this person has that chasar, this person has this chasar. Like them is a makar of lashon hara. Are people perfect? I mean, I remember my Rabbi Rav Scheinberg Zatzal was once fetching about people that were driving me crazy. So, they were so immature, some of these balabatim that I had. So he said to me, look, if they were all like perfect, they wouldn't need you. It's your job. It's like a doctor complaining that people are sick. I'm sick of people getting sicker. Like, what's your part outside? He expounded on this, like Bechal. He says, we can imagine somebody who, spends, remember I'm telling you, spends, 15, 20 years, in the laboratory at a university, learning how to cure malaria. So they finally graduate, so they send them to, some dark place in Africa. He says, "How the Amazon there? There's malaria over there." What's the, hello. That's that. So the Matiridus Hatzmedali Spalali Ba'Avrayodim is this kind of like recognition out loud. Let's just say it out loud. None of us are perfect, and we have to be a little bit more accepting of each other, which was the chet of the Shvatim in any case, that they weren't so accepting one of the other. So they said we'll say it. So we say it b'chashoy. So let's just go a little further here. I know each line here opens up a lot of questions, but let's just learn. Says Reb Tzadok, v'zehu. I'm sorry, just kidding. V'alzeh Omar Baruch Shem Kvoid Malchusay Li'olam Vahed Shezehu Yichuda Tata. Now, do you remember Yichuda Tata? So if you turn one page back, at the beginning of Parak Vav, Maimer Vav, Sir Tzadok explained Yichuda Ilah, Yichuda Tata. Now, you think to yourself, well, that was a half a year ago. But Tzadok wrote it the same day. it's all the same thing. So what he said, if you move back to the beginning of Maimer Vav, Soid HaShabbos, just very quickly, what is Shabbos? Where we say Kigavna Dinun Rosa the Shabbos. What's the secret of Shabbos? The Isachados Berosa the Echad, that we're making Isachtus, and the secret of Echad. Who saw it? Says Reb Tzadok, Yehuda Ilav, Yehuda Tata. What happens on Shabbos is we're being miyached the Yehuda Ilav, Yehuda Tata. The Shema, as he says at the beginning, Ubarak Shem Kvoid Malchusay Li'olam Vahed. We're being miyached the Shema with the Baruch Shem Kvoid Malchusay Li'olam Vahed, Shabbos. So he said this is the theme of this whole parak here. He's just coming back to it now. Shehu Raza da Hashem Echad U'Shema Echad Amar B'Zar Sham. Da Hashem Echad Hu Yichuda Ilah. V'Hu HaYichud Ad Shlam Nivra Olam. Remember, the way the world was created, there's before the Tzimtzum and after the Tzimtzum. So there's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before there was any idea of Brias HaOlam at all. It's Kulay Echad. There was no divisions at all. It was only through the Spheros, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, that everything had to become divided and sorted out. So it became the Alma de Piruda. Remember we learned? Yalma de Piruta. And now what's our job? To tie it all together. So this that it was before the Brias HaOlam is called Yehuda Ilah. This, what it can be when we tie it all together, is called Yehuda Tata. What's the difference between the two things? It's like one thing, which is Yehuda Ilah is like solid rock, and Yehuda Tata is like you'll take a bunch of pieces of straw and tie it together. Zeh echad v'zeh echad, but this is a different kind of echad. So in the simple pshat of Shema Yisrael Hashem echad, this is the Yehuda Ilah. Let's get to the terminology. Ushmai, Hashem is already, when we talk about Hashem Elokim, we're talking about a name. It's interesting, kids aren't born with a name. Hashem could have done that too, It's Shemayir. So it's born with a name. It requires the Ruach HaKodesh of a parent to give somebody a name. So the name is coming from the outside always. Adam Arisha went around and he named everything in Gan Eden. The Zohar says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, give me a name too. I also want a name. So says the Zohar. Because a name has to do with, as I understand it, I'll call you a name. I'm saying this is a recorder. I'm naming it a recorder because of the pa'ula that it does. It's taking voice waves and it's recording it in a way that I can then play it back. So it has a certain mashmois. Once you give it a name, the name has to do with the hasagas ha'adam. Now, two people can look at something and name it differently. It's not accurate. So so Hashem says to Adam Arisha, give me a name. Do you see Elikim here? Do you see Adonai? Do you see Yud Kei Vav Kei? Do you see Tel? Do you see Shivkai? What do you see? When you can tie them all together, you can say Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. But now that there's an Alma de Piruta, so how do you tie them together? Rosa de Shabbos. This is what we do on Shabbos. That's how we're talking about right now. So Yaakov Avinu said, I thought we're talking about the Yichud Hilah. When there's a Yichud Hilah, when we get there completely, so we have a Mashiach situation. I see that we're talking about, you said what? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Right? You're taking two Shemos. So I see that you're talking Yichud Tata. Yichud Tata is good. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elokad. I got a pasuk for you. It's a lower level. Mashmais is that when Mashiach comes, when the complete Geula is, we're back to Yichud Hilah, and then there's no going back. Once there's Yichud Hilah. So let's just finish the sentence here. So he said, Hazel Amar Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elokad Shazel Yichud Tata Da'af Bebrue Mata, even the lowly creations, Krutzei Choimer, those that crawl in earth. Even those that have not, that's talking about us, that have not been able to completely be kovesh their lave, be in complete control of their lave. Gam heim miyachtim shmoi b'chol yom tamid ba'ava. Sof kol sof, we're being miyachid shem. Zehu kvoid malchusai debakol mashalos, pasuk and tilim, of Gimel. Kvoid malchusai, this is the only remez in Torah Shebiksav to the pasuk of Baruch Shem Kvoid Malchusai Elam, where we say Kvoid Malchusai Bakol Mashallah. The Omek is fascinating because people are familiar with the famous Goin. The Gra says Ki Lashem Hamlucha Moshel Bagoyim. So Melucha, what's Hashem HaMelucha Moshe Bagoyim? Melucha Ein Melech B'Loam. So when we're makabel on ourselves, all of us, the Malchus Hashem, means Anivus. We're in it for Hashem. So that's Hila Hashem HaMelucha. What about the Goyim that are not makabelus at all? They're anyway stuck in the Malchus Hashem. But that's called a Moshe, not a Melech. Yeah, ain't melech below, but a moshel could be without a dictator. So if you're not makabel at baratzim, then you get upgraded to the party. Then malchusai bakol mashola, and the malchus is there, but he's there as a moshel. Who moshel b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. Moshel means balkarchach. So you're stuck in it. So here we have Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuso. Says Reb Tzadok, it's maskir the pasuk of Kivod Malchusai bakol mashola. That's why we have the quiet, and that's why the Gemara tells us the mashal of L'tzike Kederishe Richa Bas Melech D'Yesh L'Gnai. Why? Ki davar zeh Gnai L'Knesses Yisrael. It's actually a Gnai Kishein Libam Naki L'Gam. Because what it really means is, Nachon, we haven't been perfect.
It's clean. They're perfected.
Avol. I don't want to. It's late, so I don't want to get too far into this. But here's a classic Reb Tzadok theme throughout everything that he wrote. This is really, I think, what he was thinking. Avol, but it's a Gnai and all that. And we have it's a hara, and we want to do bad things, and it's a Gnai to be human. But But just to think, like whenever somebody would come over and start extolling, Rabbi, such wonderful drushes, and you're so good with people, and you're good with the kids, and finally I couldn't resist anymore. But like all this is obviously a lead up to. Nobody comes with such shvachim for free. It says it. Aval, right? So what's the aval? Here's the aval going the other way. The but changes everything. The but changes everything. Yes, we have some bad in us. Yes, we're not naki legamri from the Yetzer Hara. Aval be'emes yakar michachma michavai sichlus ma'at, said Shlomo HaMelech. A little bit of ra is actually a good thing. This is the classic Reb Tzadok. Don't knock the ra so much. Kisor miyuta yafa. You don't need matzah a year. You put a little bit of sar in these. A little bit of rising is a good tazach. Kikilusai. Why? Kikilusai uchvoid malchusai. Because if we're talking about making covet for the malchus, where's the covet for the malchus? If we're just all tzaddikim.
Yeah.
If we're all, the covet for the malchus is tshuva. Look at the change this guy went through for Hashem. Look at the Yetzer Hara.
To that rooted.
Right. Havdol of Havdols. I was just reading in the news that I think some novel, Pink Floyd, somebody like that. Is he still alive? So, with the program. So he said something good about Israel. I was like all over the newspapers. That's something good about Israel. That's the Kohen Malchus because he's such a Russian. There's the Kohen Malchus. So there's a little bit of Sohar Shebe'isa. A little bit of Sohar Shebe'isa is a bigger Kiddush Hashem in a sense. So like don't knock the Ra Lagamri. Meaning if we have some Ra in us and we choose Tov, that's actually a bigger covet. Sometimes you see in your children, like, you look at one child who's kind of like as a tzaddik, like no Yetzer Hara. That's one thing. And then a kid with wants to do bad but overcomes it. So I'm not saying one's better than the other, but there's a little more covet kvod malchusai with the one who conquers it. So says Reb Tzadok, Alzeh, Yosef Kishesh Adayin, I'm sorry, Kilusai v'chvod malchusai, Oila Yosef Kishesh Adayin Yetzer B'lei. Has some more value when you're Mishabeach, if you're not likely to be Mishabeach. Im kol zeh, because with all of your problems, Levavai makir yichuda yisbarach v'de'enoid milvada. Because even you are makir enoid milvada. That's already Kiddush Hashem. That's kvod malchusa. So Yaakov Avinu said, here's the genius of Yaakov Avinu, or at least Reb Tzadok, that Yaakov Avinu says to the sons, you're accomplishing something else now. You're not accomplishing Mashiach. What you're accomplishing is Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusa. Because you're saying you're not Naki Lagamri, yet you're recognizing HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lagamri, so that's Kvod. That's doesn't cover. So Baruch Shem Kivod Malchusa Lo Yom Levad, and we say Okay.